Welcome in to News 5. It is part of our mission now to help everyone rebound from this pandemic we have been in. And we are joined now by Governor Polis for a one-on-one interview. Governor Polis, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We know you are very busy right now.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I know these are tough times for the people of Colorado, for our economy, but we're going to get through this together. I know that everybody's doing their part.
Absolutely. And so we want to get started talking about unemployment. And we do have a lot of viewer questions that they've written in for us to ask you. And one of the big issues is the unemployment process right now. We've gotten numerous phone calls and emails from people saying that they are having trouble getting through to the state unemployment office. They're being put on hold. They're not getting through. The website continues to crash. What's being done to fix this problem right now?
Yeah, so these systems were never built for this kind of volume, but you can go right now to coloradoui.gov. The website in the first few days of the load was often overloaded. That really isn't happening much anymore. Where a lot of calls are bottling up is on the phone line, where we've actually just had expanded our number of people that are helping with the calls. But try to get through and do it on the website, coloradoui.gov. If you need help, you can certainly call. And what I'm suggesting for people who are having trouble reaching in, try doing it at different hours. Try doing it first thing in the morning. Try doing it at different times. We're continuing to increase the capacity there because I know Coloradans need to sign up. The other important thing to know is you're not missing benefits just because you can't get through for a few days. You need to get it in. You need to get your benefit. I totally get that, but you're not going to actually miss out on a check or anything that you deserved and earn. But go to coloradoui.gov and the website should be working fine right now.
All right. Thank you. And we want to talk about the Help Now Colorado Fund. Back in March, you announced the creation of this relief fund to help the small businesses, the nonprofits, the local governments, school districts in the wake of this pandemic. Can you walk us through how much money has been collected and how much has been distributed so far?
HelpColoradoNow.org is where you can sign up to donate or volunteer your time. And thousands of people have volunteered to help both people with medical backgrounds as well as people who just want to help by delivering groceries to seniors or other needed activities. We've also raised over $16 million from individuals, from foundations, from companies across Colorado. And over $4 million has already gone out the door in the very first round of grant requests. We're working with Mile High United Way at helpcoloradonow.org to make sure that the help goes out to those who need it the most in terms of our first line workers and helping to meet some of their needs, making sure that we're filling in the gaps that some of the government programs simply aren't meeting.
Right, and we have been talking about on the federal level how a lot of the big businesses have been benefiting and the smaller ones haven't been benefiting as much from these programs. So what's your office doing to make sure that our small businesses and the people who need it most are the ones that are going to be getting this help?
We've had many calls, and I've spent a lot of my time working with the small business community across Colorado. Many of you know that was my background. I started and ran several small to medium-sized businesses in my years in the private sector, and making sure, A, that they know how to and got their requests in for the Paycheck Protection Program. And then we worked with bankers to make sure that they weren't showing preference for their largest or favorite customers and really working with everybody in a fair way to try to get those applications in. I was very glad to see that Congress, on a bipartisan basis, added additional resources to the Paycheck Protection Program. The first tranche really wasn't enough, and so we're hopeful that more Colorado businesses will now be funded to get through this horrific time.
Right, and we understand there's an application deadline approaching for the Help Fund, and May 2nd is what we understand. Can you walk us through that process for people? What do people need to know and provide when they're applying to try to get help from the state?
Yeah, and this is back to the other one. So we talked about Paycheck Protection Program. That is the federal one you do through your banks. There's not a separate process. You work through your banking relationships to do that. This is the helpcoloradonow.org, filling in some of those holes that aren't met through the government programs. There's information about the grant process. We funded grants in 62 out of 64 counties. And the two counties that so far haven't gotten funding don't have any COVID patients either. But we're really trying to align it with where the crisis is the worst. El Paso County is certainly one of those areas where there's several nonprofit work that's been funded and hopefully more in the future.
Right. Okay, let's talk
Pueblo,
about...
and Pueblo County as well has been funded.
Right, thank you for saying that as well. Okay, we have gotten the most emails we've received from viewers are about the mask situation right now. And you have mandated that masks be worn by all workers, especially as we move into the safer at home phase with more businesses opening back up. But we have witnessed store employees not complying by these orders. And what is your office doing to try and maximize compliance here?
Yeah, well, it's very dangerous. It's dangerous, of course, for the men and women working in our stores and their colleagues and their coworkers, but also for customers. So it's really important. It is the law of Colorado that people who are doing business with the public, working at a store and interfacing with the public, need to wear a mask at all times that they're interfacing with the public. So that is the law. I know that we're working closely with Mayor Suthers and Mayor Gradisar and others to make sure that that's implemented both in our cities as well as in our counties. And of course, it's also important for customers to do their part. And we're encouraging everybody to wear a mask when they're out. That life you save could be your aunts or your moms or your dads or your cousins, and it could even be your own. So let's be safe. Let's wear facial coverings to cover our nose and mouth whenever we're in public, and we'll get through this.
Right, and we just want to say we've seen some inconsistencies with the health agencies, the health departments in different jurisdictions. Some were fining businesses for staying open when they weren't supposed to, and some were not, as far as we knew. So it just seems like there's some inconsistencies among the jurisdictions when it comes to not patrolling, but making sure that people are doing their part. So how can we make sure that for the customers and the workers, especially, that they are wearing these masks? And is there stuff being done to make sure that's happening?
Well, stores in El Paso County and Pueblo County open their doors May 1st to the public. They're already open for curbside delivery, those who choose to be. And obviously, May 1st, it's just the stores that choose to be open are open, but there certainly won't be any restrictions on them being open. But yes, they have to follow the very reasonable health and safety guidelines that the State Department of Health has put down. Nothing in any way that would make it harder for a small business to get by. They don't have to buy any thousands of dollars of machinery or UV lights or anything like that. It's just simply wearing masks, make sure that there's a way to have the social distancing when people are in line. It's a lot like what you've seen in your grocery store. There's probably decals on the floor that show where people can stand, making sure they have some control and limits over the flow of people into their store and avoid having to be too close to others while they're shopping. So just those simple steps. That's all available at coloradosaferathome.com. So any store or small business owner can find out what they need to do to open as early as they can. And customers might also want to know what can they expect to see out there. So coloradosaferathome.com has all that information.
Right, and a lot of viewers who are employees and who are customers are wondering why employees would be required to wear a mask, but not specifically the customers being told to wear masks when they go inside. We know we're encouraging them to, but why don't we make that a mandate as well?
Well, many stores have done that, and I would certainly encourage stores. A lot of stores historically they have a sign that says, no shirt, no shoes, no service. You just have to say no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service, and that needs to be enforced at the store level to make that happen. We have the ability to hold businesses accountable for following the law. Businesses certainly have the ability to make sure that customers aren't entering their stores and being unsafe and not wearing pants or shirt or shoes or a mask.
All right, we want to talk about education a little bit. You mentioned that teachers and students, the district should be preparing to possibly start the fall semester by staying at home and learning at home. Now, we know a lot of parents are working from home right now, so they're able to be with their young ones and help them learn. But what's being done to help the parents if we go into this scenario in the fall when they might be back at work and their little ones can't be home alone?
I don't expect that at all. I had a call with superintendents earlier this week, and I said, it's certainly our expectation that schools will be in person in August or September, whenever you go back. And schools are taking the precautions they need to make sure that kids are going to be safer in this environment where we're coexisting with coronavirus. In fact, even right now, school districts across the state are using their school buildings. They can't have regular classes. Those passing times with everybody going by at the same time are difficult, but certainly one-on-one meetings, special ed. Some of them are running their technical classes for kids who need to get in person to do a program in shop or welding in groups of 10 or less. So that's all occurring, and we're working closely with districts to help them make sure that they can get back to school safely in the fall.
All right, and is that what is mostly being done behind the scenes? Like, what kind of research is going into when we make this decision? Do we just have to wait and see how it plays out over the summer, or?
So there's a lot of thoughtful work at coloradosaferathome.com around the best practices for stores, for offices, for all different kinds of businesses. There'll be similar safety guidelines around what we can do better in our schools for superintendents. Of course, they want it sooner rather than later, but we will be getting that in the weeks ahead with ample time to prepare for when the students return in the fall.
All right, and so we've gotten a lot of questions also we can do like a rapid fire segment here. When can churches reopen? We've talked about the possibility of restaurants opening their dining rooms. Have you talked about churches as well? A lot of people concerned about that.
So churches, non-commercial, commercial, it's still gatherings of 10 or greater that are too dangerous at this time. So many churches are open. They're simply broadcasting their services. They might have a small group go in, people involved with the broadcasting, obviously the pastor and other people involved with the program. Obviously, we're all hoping to get back to normal as soon as we can in both our spiritual as well as our secular entertainment. So whether it's churches, which are an important part of our spiritual health, whether it's movie theaters and restaurants, the more that Coloradans are wearing masks when they're out, the better we can contain this virus, the more that pastors can know that they're not endangering the lives of their congregants and they're honoring the sanctity of life when they're able to invite people to fill their pews once again and sing songs of joy and gratitude.
Right. We also had a bride write in today saying she has a wedding set for mid-June and she's worried, do I cancel now? What should I do? Do you have any advice for?
Well, brides to be have a couple options. First of all, you can certainly have that religious part of the wedding in June. You can have it in May. You could have had it in April. That means a small group, 10 or less family members observing that. And you can schedule the party and the ceremony, public ceremony, for a later date. So it certainly shouldn't delay anybody from getting married just because you might not be able to have a venue with hundreds of people until a later date. So you can do the legal aspect. You can do the religious aspect. It's just a large celebration piece, and the truth is we don't know for June. We just laid out the May guidelines. We have confidence that we're opening up and Coloradans are able to do more and return to work and all of those great things. We'll see. As long as Coloradans are wearing masks and remaining social distant and it's not dangerous, obviously we'd all love wedding parties to be able to happen in June. But I also know that the bride-to-be and her future husband-to-be also don't want to put their aunts and uncles and parents in danger and invite them into an unsafe situation.
Right. The dance parties will be packed. The dance floors will be packed as soon as those weddings can happen again. What about campgrounds? A lot of people asking, when can I go to a campground and pitch a tent and be with my family? I'm not going to be near other people.
So we are one of the few states that have kept our state park system open throughout this entire crisis. It's great to get out and go around and enjoy our beautiful outdoors. The campsites were closed really for two reasons. One is we want to make sure that there's sanitation protocols in place in between usage to make sure that they're safe. And then the second one is we don't want people going from parts of the state with higher infection rates that could lead to additional infection in other parts. It's not so much the camping piece, but it's they're also using local stores, gas stations, et cetera. So we're working on getting that as soon as is possible in Colorado. In the meantime, our state parks are certainly open for visitation as they have been throughout this whole crisis.
Thank you. Okay, this is our final question. We appreciate you being here. Looking back, we are still in the middle of this. Every day, every hour, things are continually changing. But looking back from where we've been, where we've come, is there anything that you would have done differently at this point?
Well, during this crisis, we've always wanted to know tomorrow's information and next week's information today, but that's not possible. So I make the best decisions I can at any moment in time based on the data, based on the science, based on what we have before us. We took early steps to protect our most vulnerable population. We're taking additional steps to make sure that we can do testing. We have a very aggressive testing program. We brought in top leadership from the private sector and the public sector so Colorado can lead the way in testing. We've increased our capacity 20 times. Since, less than 2 months ago when this crisis started. It feels like an eternity. So we're doing everything I can, everything every day with the information we have to help keep Coloradans safe and reduce any duration and severity of the disruption to our ability to earn a living in our economy.
Thank you. And it is our mission here at News 5 to help our communities rebound. And we know we're still in the thick of things right now, but we believe that we will get through it. Brighter days are ahead. So do you have any last words of encouragement for our viewers that are just feeling helpless and hopeless right now?
It's tough, but we are going to get through this, Colorado. We've been through fires, we've been through floods. Now we've been through the biggest pandemic in a century, and we're going to be back. Colorado's going to be strong. It's going to be safer. We're not there today. We're not there tomorrow. The day will come when we can hug one another and embrace in fellowship as we did before. That day isn't tomorrow. That day is not in May, and it might not even be this summer. But we're all looking forward to being able to fully join one another again in celebration of Colorado moving forward.
And we'll continue to work with our viewers. Thank you to our viewers for sending in all these questions that we can ask Governor Polis. Keep them coming. Let us know what we can help you with. rebound@koaa.com. And Governor Polis, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.